Welcome to the Heartification podcast, where I interview people on how art has affected their lives and what it means to them. Art has a very special place in my life. It not only makes me feel happy, but it allows me to make others feel special. This podcast is all about how art has made an impact on others' lives, for all ages, all backgrounds, and all walks of life. You can find more about this podcast guest in my show notes. Without further ado, let's welcome my next guest. She is the artistic director of Karmagraphy and a dancer. Please welcome my next guest, Kavita Rao.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love what you're doing and all the good positive energy you're putting out there.
Yeah, thank you. So the first question I always ask is, how do you define art?
That's such a great question because I think every single person is an artist. We're all born as artists. As kids, we have that innate ability to create art out of everything. And as we get older, we lose that ability, that childlike quality. So I think it's easy to find art in everyday life, whether it's a flower arrangement, whether it's someone that's baking. I think truly every person is an artist and every person can create art. It's just the intention you put behind it. If there's passion behind it and you're using your creativity and your imagination, it's art.
Yeah, definitely. The way I define it is any form you're able to express yourself and let out your emotions is an art.
Yes, definitely.
And what art forms are you exposed to?
I am exposed to art across all platforms. I feel so lucky to have had that experience in my life from a very young age. My mom putting me in every art class possible, from rubber stamping to silk screening to going to art school to taking, dance since the age of 4. Unfortunately, I can't sing to save my life, so I wouldn't say that, but I played the viola and piano and acted. I was an actress. So I've been lucky to experience it at many different levels. I think now in my career, I'm able to use all of that because I collaborate with artists across so many platforms, whether I'm working on a TV show and I'm working with actors, or I'm creating for dancers, or I'm creating for singers. I'm able to speak their language, which is really important to be able to communicate with other artists that way.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. And what is your role as the artistic director of Karmagraphy?
So I've had the company for about 11 years. I originally started with a business partner who we had kind of the similar goal of blending our, Eastern heritage with being born Indian American and our Western culture as well, and both professional dancers in the LA industry. So we just felt like there was a lack of we kept going to these Bollywood auditions and they just didn't have the integrity that we were looking for. So we started that way. 11 years later, now our company is a full-blown entertainment company. So my role really is to create whatever my client's desire is. And that's so fun because I get to create different forms of art all the time. I get to create for different types of people, and I get to create in different genres of choreography, whether it's a ballet piece for an artist playing the violin, or it's a flash mob for a proposal, or it's, let's say like a moving sculpture. So it keeps it really, I always have to kind of push my boundaries of how to create so that I can keep inventing and being innovative for my clients.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you feel you were able to express yourself and let out your emotions while you were dancing?
Yeah, so I think I spent so many years as a professional dancer, and that was definitely a huge part of my expression. But I think as have been a choreographer for now the past 15 years, I find that I'm able to express my emotions and my feelings more through creating for other people. That's truly what I enjoy, is being on the other side of the camera, the other side of the table, and seeing other people bring my ideas to life.
Yeah, that's amazing. And dancing is a very competitive area. So how do you use your creativity to rise above the competition?
So I always say this for all artists, there's enough room for everybody. There's not one lane. So I think a lot of times, especially when people are of similar backgrounds or have similar ethnicities or similar training, people want to kind of pit those people against each other and make it feel like there's only room for one. There's truly enough room for everybody as long as you stay authentic to your voice and create authentically in terms of, not stealing choreography or not kind of not trying to be somebody else, but really creating your own voice. And if you stay true to that and you do it with integrity and you really have the tools and the skill sets to do it, a lot of people think they are a choreographer without ever having choreographed anything. And yes, I believe that people should push their limits, but you also have to know what your skill sets are and the things that you need to work at still. So I think honestly, training and constant education, you're never done being a student when it comes to being an artist.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have been able to attract influencers such as Vidya Vox, Kristen Bell, and Kelsey Grammer. So what is it about your creativity that attracts influencers?
It's the relationships that I build with people when I work with them. I think it's a trust that they trust me to put my best work forward, and I trust them with my work. And that's especially when I have like long time people that I work with, like someone like Vidya Vox or a violinist that I work with, Esther Anaya, or another artist, a musical doc, and then the person that I do a lot of film and television with, Marianne Kellogg, who we worked with people like Kristen Bell, Marianne Kellogg, a ton of TV shows. She trusts me. So it's you building that trust, that knowing that you have their back when you're creating, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are out there on stage or on camera, and they have to know that you're looking out for them and you're not just going to, let them flail in the wind.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important that you have strong relationships with the people that you work with.
Definitely.
And how does what you do bring out the creativity in others?
That's a great question. I would hope that, especially because I have a company where I hire artists all the time, I get to put, especially dancers, in really interesting situations because of the fact that we do so many types of entertainment. One moment they are pretending to be waiters that all of a sudden become dancers, or they are, in a forest and their statues coming to life. So luckily, because of me having this company, I'm able to hire artists all the time. And that is truly my goal, is to be able to provide work for other artists.
That's amazing. And so art can be therapeutic and it can help people through some difficult times. So has art ever helped you through a difficult situation? And can you give an example?
Sure. So I think when I was struggling with figuring out what to do, so many people think they need to have that answer right away. I graduated college with a double major in communications and dance, and I decided I'm just going to take the usual path of going into PR and, working not a 9-to-5 job, but, a 9 to midnight job in PR in LA. And I just really was miserable because I had lost that big part of myself, which was dance. And it just took me finally at some point just quitting and not knowing what I was doing with my life and turning to dance as a way to kind of work through that, then ended up realizing that was truly what I was meant to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And are you attracted to any particular artist?
Like my favorite dance company is Netherlands Dance Theater. I just think the work they do is stunning and has been for so long, from its original choreographer to Erin Killian to the people that they bring in now. I think they're just really pushing the boundaries of modern dance and contemporary ballet. So I love what they do. And then now it's just social media is fun. You get to be inspired by every time you open it up and see someone doing a fun TikTok or reel. And, as controversial as social media can be, I think the young generation has a complete new outlet, a way to be creative that I didn't grow up with, and I didn't have that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so my Heart Education project is all about giving back to the community, specifically to those with disabilities and illnesses. So how do you give back to the community?
That's great. So a lot of what I do is also embedded in giving back, whether it is to other artists and creating jobs. But a lot of my events that I create are charity based or connected. We do a lot of events for nonprofits, whether it's creating art that speaks to people about giving or loving or making them feel connected to the mission statement of an organization. But most recently, I've created a new project called Spark, and that's mission is to inspire younger artists across all platforms, not just dance. And part of the proceeds of that goes to Young Arts Foundation, which gives scholarships to young artists to pursue their dreams.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I love that thing about scholarships. I mean, sometimes it can be hard to pursue what you love, especially in art, because of society. People's always judging. But I feel with art, all you need to do is express your emotions, and it doesn't matter if someone else doesn't like it. It's what you are feeling. And I think sometimes it's hard, and I think it's really great that those scholarships are allowing people to pursue what they love.
Definitely, because everyone comes from a different background in terms of financially, and that shouldn't mean that you have an opportunity to study and to become a better artist.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. And how would you like people to get in touch with you?
So you can find me a lot of different ways, obviously through my company Karmagraphy, but also my personal Instagram or email is Kavita Dance. And I always reply back to everyone that gets in touch with me. I always say to every student, if you're a student of mine once, my door is always open for people to reach out. So much of what I do is mentorship at this point in my life. And that's one of the ways that I find what I do really rewarding. And especially I would encourage people to check out Spark, which is in about a week. I think it'll be a great outlet for artists to get inspired.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Remember, if you want to find out more about this guest, please go to my show notes where I have all the links needed. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to my podcast series and help me by sharing it, leaving a rating, and a comment. I hope you join me on my next podcast. Bye for now.